Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to your May reading. It's great to see everybody. Hope you guys are doing great. Thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your schedule today to work on yourself, to also help support one another here. This is one of my great honors to be able to be here for you. So quick hello from my little dog here. I know you guys love to see Apollo at the beginning. I'm going to put him down so we can focus now. I'd like to give you a proper kind of introduction too, in case you don't know who I am. I want to say hello. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. As I said, this is for Sagittarius. We're going to be looking at May, but the way that these live readings have been working is we'll also be looking at a little bit of the energy leading into May. So the last couple weeks of April, which is perfect, will be in the deep past and recent past as we kind of look at the Celtic cross in a moment. If you are wondering which sort of aspects of your chart you can use this for, I designed it especially for your star sign, your birth sign, but you can use it for sun, rising, and moon. You can also watch on behalf of someone in your life that you know and care about. The other thing that I'd like to mention is that because it's live, you can interact with me using super stickers or super chat. And the main way that that is just a sort of vehicle for support and to say hello. I don't do pick a card or Q&A here because there's a lot of information and I want to be able to kind of continue to channel that for everybody. But if you want to just say thanks, you can send a sticker using this icon here. And that allows me to continue to upgrade my supplies. I'm using a new deck here because of your generosity. So thanks to everybody that does that. Once the video is live, I'll put a little thank you in the, or once it's on replay, I'll put a little thank you below the video. So let's talk about the format and then let's get into the messages because there's a lot coming through for you today. There's going to be 4 major parts. We're going to go first with the channeled information. This is what I receive when I meditate, and it's basically tapping into my clairvoyance, just pure psychic information. Once I go through the channeled information, we'll look at a Celtic cross. That shows high points. It also shows anything that might be a challenge. And I'm a big proponent of free will. So the reason that I show up is to give you everything that you need to be successful for the month ahead. So we'll get into that right after the channeled information. Then we'll expand the forecast looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. And I like to close with something special each and every week that I'm doing this and each and every month. And this is where we focus on the soul. So not only what we've kind of looked at for the month ahead, but also what you can do to be successful for the entire year. And so this will be for some of you healing. Some of you could be sort of a silver lining to some of the challenges. Perception and perspective are the 2 main things that I'm trying to focus on this month for each sign in the soul portion. So we'll see where that leads us after we get through all of the main sort of intuitive information for the month. Welcome to my moderators. I always like to say thanks to Maria and Ryan for showing up and providing some assistance. If you have major questions here, you can ask them about what's going on or where to find the forecast and everything, and they can direct you to that. So let's now go ahead and get into all of the information that was coming through during meditation. And before I get started, I always like to meditate for at least half an hour or an hour to kind of get my thoughts together and figure out what's coming through. One thing that was persistent in all of the sort of insight that I was receiving was light. And I kind of like that candle in the background. What I was focusing on was how we could kind of infuse light in everything for your sign this month. The first thing was inspiration. I actually got the word inspiration as I was meditating. And so for you, finding something to feed a spark of inspiration or something to kind of give you something to look forward to. And for those of you that are either working too much or are kind of between jobs or waiting to go back to work, there's any combination of the aforementioned because of everything that's going on in the world. I think it's really important to pick something that makes you feel like today's going to be a great day. I think that's a great mantra no matter what. Even if yesterday was the most difficult, taxing, and sort of even crushing day sometimes. We all go through those where you just feel like, oh, how did I do this? How did I get through that? I can't do this again. I think it's really important to hit the reset switch and get up a little bit earlier and think of something for yourself. Have a little bit of a sanctuary or a goal that you're working on for the long term. Because when we have something that's really kind of lighting our internal flame, our passion, our desire, it makes everything else worthwhile. And I know that, for some of you, it might be that you're going to night school or something like that, or that you're deciding to maybe in 2 or 3 years make something big in your life. Maybe it's building a house, or you're going to, get married or something. I think it's important to always have long-term goals. And that kind of, I'm going to switch around the way I was going to message this, but I wanted you to use that goal to empower yourself. We can't always control what's going on with the news, our job, our paycheck, but we can control how we react to some of the stuff that's going on, what we choose to tune into, and also, more importantly, what we decide to do with our life. So free will, that's one thing, no matter how crazy the world is. If you read a world like a book rather like 1984, where it's dystopian and everything is kind of just soul wrenching. One of the cool things in that book, even though the end isn't the happiest, is that, the free thought was the kind of thing that they were showing you that you can't steal. Even the government couldn't quite get in there. Now, the end of that one, again, wasn't the greatest, but it's a reminder in this lifetime, we don't have to go there. This isn't dystopia. We have a chance to sort of go towards the light, which is, I'm going to think about what I can control in my life, what I do love about the world right now, and how I can make a difference to inspire and to change. So find your spark, get inspired, set a goal, and most importantly, keep that goal. Make it something you can do. When I used to be a manager, I actually would tell people to use a card like this and come up with a simple statement that they could accomplish. So maybe it was something like, I'm going to show up to work every day this year, or something like that. I'm going to try to just be on time. Or maybe it would be something different, like I'm going to react better to feedback. So whatever, it can be something like that. Or I'm going to keep an open heart and an open mind. So it can be small like that. Or for you, maybe this goal could be something like improving fitness, cooking more of your own meals, listening and spending more time with your children or loved ones. Pick something that you feel like you want to do, you can do, and then commit to that goal and think, I can't control everything else, but I can control this. And each day I'm going to work a little bit more towards making progress in that goal. And don't be afraid to sort of, challenge the status quo too, because this inspiration could be about how to change yourself or the world. So find something that you believe passionately, work on that. And I'd love to hear how that goes for you, but I think that this will give you a sense of empowerment. And finally, keeping your thoughts in the light, going into a high frequency. This is something I actually practiced myself a few nights ago when I was feeling frustration over something in my life where I felt like, why isn't this happening? And what my guides kind of showed me in a quick download was that I wasn't meant to go down a couple of paths, so they blocked me. If I focus solely on feeling the block, which was, sometimes it's a sense of entitlement, like I need this now, or I feel like I deserve this now. Sometimes it's you kind of beat yourself up. I've been working so hard, have I wasted time? What they were showing me is this is the wrong person, the wrong time, and the wrong opportunity. Keep looking. So it was actually a blessing in disguise. So what I started to do that evening was I opened up my thought process, and I thought, I'm opening up my intuition to see things as they truly are. I'm a powerful person capable of creating opportunities in my life that will meet the frequency that I'm at. So I felt a sense of empowerment, and immediately I felt almost like this warm wash of energy go over me. The fear and frustration went away, and I went straight to sleep. So sometimes if we can just realize that blocks are actually blessings in our life, that we are more powerful than we think, and we can choose to not react to the stress of a failure, of a blockage, or of a situation where we're being challenged, because oftentimes it's the universe holding us back temporarily, saying, wait, because there's something even better down the line. This would be settling. This would be kind of maybe perhaps not up to your standards. If you wait, if you're patient, there's something even better. I know that's tough sometimes when you wait like 10 years for something, or if you just feel like I need it right here and right now. In that case, you have to do what's best for you, obviously, but sometimes the blockages are blessings. Sometimes patience and a change of perspective can open up new opportunities in your life. And if you can kind of stay in that feeling of being in the light, great things can happen. So find something that moves you, commit to it, keep that commitment. Keep being positive, even when things sometimes confound you. Retrospect always makes it easier for you to understand. If you wait 5, 10, or 15 years and look back, you see a pattern. It wasn't accidental. And things that fell away, oftentimes you're so grateful because you look at that person or that company or that opportunity and you see how it developed. And it's like, thank goodness I wasn't in the presence of that energy that would have been destructive or counterproductive. So pause and just think, this will make sense later. I have to keep focusing on today and tomorrow, okay? Let's go ahead now, and we're gonna look at the cards, which will help you kind of navigate through all of this. Again, showing high points and challenges, and you will have the ability to kind of make the decision about how to navigate through it, and I'll try to kind of help you see all of the possibilities, okay? I'm gonna turn the camera down now and pull out all the cards, so please be patient, and I'll rejoin you in just a moment. Great to see everybody, by the way, from all the different parts of the world. Always a pleasure. And it's also an honor that you guys showed up today. So thank you so much. I'm going to take both of them because they stuck together. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Let me just take a quick drink and then we'll continue. All right, so we'll begin with the catalyst. For me, the catalyst is a way to connect all the cards together. Oftentimes, it gives you perspective on how to stay in a higher frequency. And that's important since that was one of the messages that came through in the channeled portion. So your catalyst this month is take care of your needs. We have a wolf here, it looks like. But for me, this is the caption here is actually winter. So I do feel like some of us are in that sort of energy of being between abundance and that sort of renewal, which is to me what winter is. It's a time for hibernation, for reserving and conserving sort of your energy, and for waiting for things to get better. So, you know, no matter what season we're all in, it does feel a little bit like winter. It reminds me of Game of Thrones a little bit. And so many of us were prepared, many of us were unprepared for what's going on. The importance right now is to kind of go into your internal guidance. To me, this card is all about instinct and intuition as well. Because when I think of like wolves, foxes, or any of the sort of anything in that kind of animal kingdom, I think that, you know, they really rely on their senses, and you're able to kind of get through things much better than you think if you go into that sort of ancient part of our brain, which kind of helps guide us. So I think right now we want to be smart about things, know that we can survive. And it says here, take care of your needs. So if there's something right now where you're a caretaker, you're working really hard out on the front lines, or you're just worried about every day, do what's important to really take care of you and your family here and now. I think this is one of the reminders as we go through this life sometimes on autopilot, right? I talked in another sign about when you kind of drive your car, end up somewhere and wonder how you got there. Everything's slowed down right now so that we could basically reset our GPS and think, wait a second, where exactly was I going? Do I like the path that I have taken? And is there a chance for me to do better? So part of this is actually self-care. The other part is protecting those around you. And ultimately, we will come into a spring. We will come into an abundance and opportunities. So take the time to prepare and to rest a little bit if you can, because it won't last forever. We already see here, I mean, every single city, country, and part of the world is reacting differently right now. but there are many cities here that are opening up. And I think we're going to see a lot of expanding, contracting until everything is under control. So this could be a new norm for a while. So take advantage of the downtime. When I was in a corporate environment, even when I was a kid or in college and I was working all the time, I used to sometimes enjoy if there was a holiday because of, inclement weather, or if, a pipe burst at school and you couldn't go for the day, because suddenly it was like I got a little bit of free time to do whatever I wanted, to read a book, to get caught up on homework. And when I was an adult, it could just be to sleep in, to do my laundry, to sit down and, pay some bills. This is a chance for us to catch our breath. So catch your breath and figure out what you want. And if you are one of those first responders, or if you're out there in the trenches taking care of everyday life and helping people, still take care of yourself and get that breath. I think that's the most important thing. Last night, actually, I was doing some exercise, watching videos. Like there's some great yoga videos out there, some great aerobic videos. So I took care of some physical health, and then I focused on breathing. I've been breathing and meditating and exercising using YouTube and using videos and people that have gone virtual. So do some of that. It's important to do it even when things are closed down or you're feeling like you can't get out there. So follow your instincts, take care of yourself, take a deep breath. You're going to be able to get through this. Four of Pentacles. This is this can indicate a couple of things. A lot of us are feeling like we're in that month-to-month energy of, I'm not sure what tomorrow brings. I'm not sure what next month brings. An interesting thing that happens when you can sometimes kind of get into holding everything in is it cuts off abundance. This is so hard because practically it's hard to exercise giving to get. But one way that you can break the cycle of not receiving is to give a little bit of energy symbolically. So you could decide to, even if you're struggling a little bit, if there's an opportunity to look around and think, you know what, I don't need this coat anymore. I have 3 of them. That one is something I want to donate. You could donate something. You could give some of your time to someone in your life. Pick up the phone and talk to someone. This symbolic sort of without any strings attached, by the way, it should just be because you want to help somebody. But when you reach out and extend a resource of any sort, not necessarily monetary, what it does is all of a sudden it opens up the universe and they're like, oh, look, they're in a place of giving. Let's give them a little bit more. So rather than kind of hoarding everything and keeping everything close, think of if there's one way that you could kind of reach out and make a difference. Sending an email, picking up the phone, giving some homemade food to somebody, something that opens up this feeling like I've got more than enough, I'm okay. Because we all can give a little something and help the world be a little bit better in some way, even if it's just by smiling. So try to give something positive as an offering. And what that does is it can actually break the energy of Four of Pentacles, which can be kind of holding back. And then it opens up the heart, because that's what closes off a little bit with Four of Pentacles. There's usually a big coin over top of that. And then the universe starts to send abundance in. So the other thing to yourself is to think, I am resourceful. I can find new ways to make this work, and look around me and think, I've got enough, more than enough. And then maybe, again, give one thing to somebody else. That symbolic, even if it's a can of food, that symbolic gesture will open up the universal flow for you. So that's one thing that you can do. And ironically, also, that other person's going to remember that down the line, and they may be the one that gives something back to you. You get what you give. So don't stop giving just because you're afraid that you don't have anything. So if there's a way to somehow invest, it will shift everything around. Doesn't have to be money, but it will help. If you want to do money, you can like throw a penny in a wishing well or something like that. Or better yet, donate to the Red Cross, do like $1 or something like that, give to the Red Cross. Something like that can make a difference, or some other world organization that's helping people in need right now. All right, so we have the Six of Swords over top of this. And this is about being able to move on. This can be, I've been seeing transition cards in every single spread. I would expect it. A lot of times it's judgment, sometimes it's death, sometimes it's the Six of Swords. It's usually around the center or on the top. So with the Six of Swords at the center, many of us have made peace with losing something, someone, or being separated from people that we care about. And if it's temporary, it can still be painful. If it's permanent passing, like again, maybe being laid off from a job, or simply the job is gone, or again, you've lost someone in your life due to sickness or other things, then this is this is difficult, and what you have to do is take care of yourself. And this particular card is making sure that you don't overexert. So I think that the only time that it kind of makes sense to pull in a little bit is if you're going through that. This is where you want to ask for help. If we think of, love is unconditional. So if you've given a lot to other people, just lean on them. They're there for you too. It's give and take, give and take. Nobody's keeping count. This is your chance to receive. So open yourself to receive, whether you're feeling like you really, really need it or you're afraid to ask for it. The general energy at the center is saying the universe wants to give, but you have to be willing to accept it. And some of you have to break this feeling that it won't come or you can't. And I think that's the main message here. So I just like to say, you deserve abundance and love. Don't be afraid to tap into it. Once you open up and think it's coming or I can ask, then everything changes around. So I hope you can do that. I think the reason some of you may be having a hard time is I see this Independence card in the deep past. So the Nine of Pentacles is usually, it can be, of course, an auspicious card showing that you've done well and that you've set yourself up for success. It can also be a card for people that can be stubborn or wanting to just sort of not rely on other people. And I think that can be a good trait, but it can also be one that holds you back when, for instance, you're not feeling well, when there's a lot of difficult things going on, or you're just feeling overwhelmed. Every point in our life, or I would say every one of us at some point in our life needs a little bit of support. So this isn't a 10 of Pentacles. There's a reason that we see, 10 of Pentacles is having everything. 9 of Pentacles is a reminder that most of us are growing, learning, and even an independent card shows a little bit of room for development. So for some of you, that's just asking for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse as well. So we have got a lot of Pentacles. Most of them are either reversed or showing a limiting sort of energy. And we even have the Two of Pentacles in the crowning position. So I think many of you are focused solely on either like how to have work-life balance if you're working too much, looking so much at the bank account that it's driving you crazy, or maybe listening to a lot of news about recession, depression, world sort of issues. And I'm encouraging you now to switch the perspective for a little bit. I think it's good to get control over that, like get a realistic estimate of what you're making, what you need, and plan ahead. But once that happens, focus on finding new ways to kind of put yourself out there, maybe find a different kind of job or find help if you need it. Or if you're looking at moving, because the Six of Swords can be that, there's a lot of ways to look at that. And I think that could be one of the things that ends up being an okay thing that's happening with this world event, is that hopefully costs of houses and renting and things like that will come down. So it's a matter of staying balanced in the meantime. If we look at it from a different perspective, this is about investing in yourself. So education, reading, any sort of personal development that you want to do, this is the great time to do it. For me, when I see a King, Queen, Knight, Page reversed, when it's Pentacles, it's about what can I do to make myself feel a little bit better. So working on self-confidence, self-worth, and also just personal skills. I think it's a fantastic thing to do. And also, this is the sort of so what moment, which is like, I've gotten to this point in my life, so is this what I want? And if not, what next? So you get to balance things out. Ultimately, although sometimes we see the Two of Pentacles as a tightrope sort of dancer, in this particular deck, we see them sort of like riding a bike here. There's a chance for you to bring balance. To me, it's very close to like Six of Pentacles too. Good choices will bring the balance into your life. Four of Pentacles can be a foundational card. In the top deck it is. So why not see this as a chance to get back to those core things that you love and that maybe you've kind of pulled yourself away from. When I was taking a shower this morning, I was reminded of an old conversation that I had when I was in school a long time ago with just someone that I knew. It was just a friend asking what I was going to do when I graduated. And I made a comment about saying, well, I'm going to do this for a while and then I'll get back to what I love. Their warning to me was important, and it ended up coming true. They said, be careful of how long you wait for doing something that you love. Like 5, 10, or 15 years could pass by and you'll realize that you lost that opportunity. So you're being given a second chance right now to get back to something that matters. And so if you made a deal with yourself saying, I'm only going to do this job for a couple of years, or, I've always wanted to go back to school, or by this point in my life, I'm hoping that I'm doing X, Y, or Z. this is your chance to hit the reset button and say, well, I didn't quite meet my initial goal, but I can now because I'm being not only given a chance, I have no choice. I have to try something new. So you've got nothing to lose if you're already at a point where you're looking for a new job or a new opportunity. Don't go back and repeat history. Instead, redirect and think, this is the time for change. I'm going to do it. There's nothing holding me back anymore. And that's really the big reason that a lot of stuff is going on in the world right now. It's a chance to get real. The moon card comes through when we have to look at something that we know we should change, but maybe we don't want to. So don't be surprised right now if you're starting to get some of those feelings of kind of like it's an itching desire. I've got to try this, or I really should get back to this, or I need to pick up the phone and talk to this person because I said I would. Commitments are coming through, commitments to yourself, commitments to others. Try to finish those, try to honor them, because when you do that, you break the sort of karmic ties and you can live the rest of this life good, and you're not going to have to meet that person in another life and try to fix it or validate one of these contracts that you didn't finish. So this is a chance to basically get back and finish something that you kind of made as a promise to yourself. And it's your soul's way of saying, you can do this, you've got this. Okay, let's look at what's coming through in the ego. We have King of Cups in reverse, and the King of Cups card is really symbolic of your ability to tap into your desires, your creativity, your emotional state. The reversal of this is saying some of you could be experiencing sort of a renaissance where it's just kind of all coming through because maybe, again, for the first time in a while, you're slowing down, you're not working as much. For those of you that are working too much, you might also be feeling an overwhelming amount of emotion. If the emotion is inspirational, as in the first sort of example, do something with it. This is a sort of instinctual card, but it leads into intuition. So many of you that are artists, this is a wonderful time to channel the work into a creative field. If you're just feeling like that you could cry at any moment, that you're angry with people for no reason, this is where you should probably reach out and get some assistance in your life, because first of all, it's completely normal given what's going on in the world, but this is also coming through because there needs to be a shift, there needs to be a change. We have the world right over top of this, and it reminds me of Atlas a little bit, which in mythology was kind of like holding up the weight of the world. So for some of you that are parents or a sole breadwinner or on your own and feeling the weight of responsibility, some of you could just be sort of stressing out. So do what you can to, again, ask for help, open yourself up to abundance, and make the changes that you need to feel better. I love that we see the world, though, in the environment. This is showing that whatever's going on, there's going to be a change. There's going to be some sort of a paradigm shift going on that will get you out of this cycle. And I think that based on the cards I'm seeing so far, this is very positive. This tells me that there could be a breakthrough in your life. The World card is good. It's just as good as the Wheel of Fortune for those of you looking for a new job. But it's in the environment, which tells me that it's not necessarily right in front of your face. That means that you might need to reach out to a friend, a former colleague. You might need to kind of mentally really think about this and meditate on it and think, why is this happening? I've had to do this over the past month or so. I've really been looking at different parts of my life thinking, why is this here? How did this end up here? What do I need to do about this? And intuition for me comes in different ways. Sometimes I'll pull out a deck of cards and it comes very clearly to me, like what we're doing today. Sometimes I get it in a dream. And one of my messages last night was, you've got to do this on your own. So I thought, okay, I'll do this on my own. Whatever comes will come, but I know that this part I have to own. So ask the universe for a message, and then pay attention over the next day. It could come in the form of a song, of a card, of just a persistent thought. The universe speaks in different ways. Be open to the different messages that come through. But for the world, change of location, change of job, and for many of you, a breakthrough when it comes to finances, because a big component of today's reading for you, it's almost like 75% resource oriented, because we have 9 of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles. It's a lot. So I can tell a lot of you are thinking about, what am I doing for a living? How else can I make money? Is this going to be enough? What can I do to feel better about myself? Is there anything that I can do to find another way to possibly get a job or to do something different? So if you're thinking of making a career change, perfect timing. Everything in the spread today is saying it's the right time. Now, this particular forecast is a month ahead. The World card for me can also indicate 1 year. So anytime over the course of the next year, if you're in a job where you're employed and you want to stay there and you want to wait this out, that's fine. We've got an ace and we've got a world card. So I would say 10 to 12 months is when you could expect to make that change. So do it this year if you want to. Let's continue to move through the cards here. As we're looking at hopes and fears, we have the Five of Pentacles. This card has been coming up a lot over the past month as well. I think this is a time where if there's anything that you've said and you wish that you could unsay it, or that you could clarify, or you could say, I'm sorry, do it. Five of Pentacles can be about words that have stung somebody that you really care about. A mother, a child, a sibling, someone that feels like they're blood in your life. And you don't want to leave those sort of bridges broken or burnt. Unless, of course, you were abused or someone was just unkind to you. But if there's something where you just got in a fight and you think, I really wish I could have done better, this is a perfect time to kind of check in with that person. Just say, I love you. I hope you're well. You don't even have to say, I'm sorry. Just to try to kind of like clear the energy a little bit. You can also meditate on it. You can close your eyes and just imagine that between you and that person, you're going to kind of like just send light from the universe and clear all the cords that you have. If you're not ready to cut them, just clear the energy between you. That way you can feel, see, and hear that person with the highest light and decide, do I still want them in my life, or can I just say goodbye as well? Because with Five of Pentacles, it's a card of sickness. And I think a lot of us are afraid of getting sick, and that's why this is showing up. But when it comes to this card, it is about making sure that there's no regrets if something like that happened. If someone that you love gets sick or is having a hard time, you don't want the last thing that goes through, like, you don't want the last connection that you had to be a negative one. I've used an example in my own life of, I've had people in my life, whether it's a friend or a family member, where, yeah, we all have arguments. But I had a friend here in the city that I live in Los Angeles, where, we disagreed on something. It was a work disagreement. And then I had a chance to see them, maybe about a year afterwards. And I said, I don't know what that was all about, by the way. And I'm just happy to see you. And the person hugged me, said the same thing. And then unfortunately, they ended up passing away a month later. They were hit by a car, actually. And I was so grateful that we had a chance to clear the air, because I don't look back and have regrets. And I know that the last thing that we did was hug. And so rather than remembering that we had a fight, I remember that we made up. And that's, I still get a little emotional about that, because it reminds me of other things in my life where you don't always get a chance to say, I'm sorry, or whatever. So take my life example and realize that sometimes it doesn't have to be coronavirus. It can be anything. It could just be, something unexpected that pops up. You don't want to have that regret. And energetically, when we hold a grudge or we hold something against another person, think of how we're saying that. It's basically keeping energy. It is what we see at the center, the Four of Pentacles. I'm going to hold on to this and be angry. It's not helping you. Sometimes the other person is not even aware of the anger. All it does is kind of act as an anchor that doesn't let you move on to the next thing. So when you let go of that, it's the most freeing thing that you can do. Sometimes even when you're right and the other person's wrong, to at least, what I've done in that sort of incident is I try to empathize. I'll say, I understand where you're coming from. I don't agree with it, but sometimes what I try to do is help the person see it from my perspective. And a lot of times that clears the air. So you could just say, because of this experience in my life, I can't support this sort of thing. And then the person understands. So at least try to kind of clear the air. And at some point, if it doesn't work, some people are just hard-headed, but you tried and you won't have regrets. I think there's a big opportunity for healing, for you or for someone else. If the person that you need to heal with, like, they've already passed and they've gone to the other side, they've either died, or maybe they've just blocked you and they don't want to talk to you, you can still talk to their energy and you can still make peace with them. If they're in spirit, they definitely hear you. And so all you have to do is close your eyes and talk in your head and send unconditional love to them, and you will receive a healing. So don't be afraid to do that. Five of Pentacles, also indicating you need to take care of your health. So as I said, for those of you that are out on the front lines, whether it's teachers or doctors or people working at the hospitals or working at any of the convenience stores or anywhere where you're out in public, again, first responders also out there on the streets helping people, wherever you're at. Make sure that if you're tired, that you get the rest that you need. Make sure that if you're not getting the proper protective gear, that maybe you say no. Remember, the first card here was take care of yourself. So if there are people in your life that depend on you, you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons of what you're doing. So how much risk are you putting yourself in? And also, what are your decisions doing to affect those around you? If you have an elderly parent or a young child or someone in your life that is kind of in a space where you don't want them exposed to things, make smart decisions, and it might be a chance to kind of decide, I can't do this. I'm going to help in a different way. Watch where you're walking and stay focused, because this card, much like the Tower, can come through when we're distracted and we make a mistake that we can avoid. So this is another thing. If you're working too many shifts and you're tired, that's when you're either driving or walking or doing something, you can just lose your focus. So sleep is super important this month. Take care of yourself, get the proper nourishment and the proper sleep. Last card, we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Two ways of looking at this. This could be an unexpected blessing coming into your life, literally coming from like left field. Because when one of the auspicious cards like Four of Wands or Ace of Pentacles is reversed, it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily happening. It can just mean that there's a delay or there's a sense of kind of like it's veiled a little bit. So for some of you, there could be an opportunity right in front of you, and all you have to do is talk or ask. I remember once in my life that I was in a really bad job and I had someone of the same title. We kind of were in it together. And all I had to do one day was talk to them about how unhappy they were. I was rather. And they said, I've been waiting for you to ask. I didn't want to say something because I knew that you wouldn't be ready. You would think that I was trying to get you out of here or something. They said, I know you're unhappy. Here's who you can call. I've got a job ready for you if you're open. And I broke down there. I was like, why didn't I say something sooner? This person was my friend all along, and it ended up being a great connection. So that was literally right by me, right in front of me, but I had to break down my own wall and say, I can't do that. I think my words were, I can't do this anymore. And they said, I know you can't, but you needed to ask me. I wasn't going to reach out to you until you said that. So that was me unlocking the door. And I had an opportunity right in front of me. So be open, ask people for help, talk to them. Sometimes it's just expressing yourself, saying, I'm exhausted, I don't know what to do. That opens it up for the other person to kind of think about it. Maybe they'll have an idea. Never hurts to kind of share how you're feeling or what your state is right now. So, there's a lot of cards here of sometimes being vulnerable, sometimes opening up. But, if we look at the opportunistic cards here, we have in the Admirement, the World card, which is a big change. And we have in the Outcome an Ace of Pentacles, which is something being given to you, but you have to ask for it. So don't be afraid to ask. I think that's one message that keeps coming through for your sign. There's support, there's love, there's opportunity, but it does require a little bit of investigation or expression on your part. So let me take a drink here, and then we're going to move along to the expanded forecast, looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Okay, so health. The more that I've been doing these readings, the less health has been just about the physical. I talked about a couple things regarding to your physical self. I think really just making sure that you're not overdoing it, getting enough sleep, and then also paying attention to where you're going is going to be important. I say that because this is more on the sort of emotional and spiritual end here we see. It says expect miracles, and it says Holy Spirit, but we could just kind of put spirit in general there because the way I read is kind of non-denominational. We're all connected to a higher creative power. So remember that only love is real. Miracles will naturally occur. Spirit has your back. What I would say with this is it's kind of like what I was tapping into the other night. When I felt hopeless, I literally started to feel kind of like a little nauseous because that's not my normal frequency. Or if I get angry, sometimes I feel like there's a pain in my stomach because I'm taking away my power or I'm losing that sort of power center. So when I started to think about wait, could there be a bigger plan to this? Is there something else? And the answer was yes. In my situation, it was because the person that I was gonna work with, they weren't necessarily positive and they weren't in the same frequency energetically. So if we were to just start kind of exchanging energy, that would kind of bring my frequency down and we wouldn't work together. So I realized, oh my God, it was a blessing. So for you, I want you to start to feel the sort of hand of God or the universe moving you around. Notice that all of the ace cards, if they're a Rider-Waite-Smith illustration, they show a hand from the sky or from the universe providing. So whether it's cups, pentacles, swords, or wands. It's something being brought into your life, and you get a chance to either say yes, thank you, or push it away. So right now, what you want to start to do is to feel like I am capable of pulling in those opportunities. I'm ready for better relationships. I'm ready for a better job. I'm ready for new ideas. I'm ready to take action, all the different elements I just kind of addressed there. So you have the ability to start to receive it. You have to see the hand in the sky sort of like bring this to you. Your main symbol this month was a resource or an opportunity that required a little bit of your own sort of like getting out of your way for it to come into your life. Also, when I look at sort of a spirit card like this, some of you may just be really waking up intuitively, spiritually, and hearing, feeling, and seeing things in a way that you haven't before. When I had that moment of, I've got this and I'm ready to really kind of own my power, I had it was a download. Like, I actually feel like I opened up to a new level of sort of intuition, because I knew at that moment, like, I can't expect things to happen. I'm more powerful than I think, so I just have to own that. When I start to get angry, it gets in the way, because it starts to make you feel like you can't do it. So I'm encouraging you to feel like, open up to the idea that there might be another way. Questioning is a good half step into getting into the active sentence of, I am doing this, this will happen. So start with, what if I tried this? Maybe this is something I should look at. Give yourself a chance to daydream, to sort of explore. And through that exploration will come a moment where you have an epiphany, where you really connect to something that spiritually is spot on. So brainstorm, dream, and allow those dreams to inform and create your new future, your new reality. Looking at wealth, which is connected, there were two cards that came out, so I want to look at both. One is showing you that you might actually receive that intuition through something at night, so a dream or meditation. With the moon, it can also show 1 month. And also, because we have two cards here showing the moon, it could be 2 months. It could also be really showing you that this is a time where you can't be afraid. So release the fear. And for me, fear is usually a trigger that is sometimes brought upon by not knowing enough, sometimes knowing that perhaps I could do something and maybe being afraid of what that might mean. So it can be a fear of success or a fear of failure. It can also be a fear of exposure. What if people see me like this and they don't like me the same way, or respect me, or support me, or embrace me? If we're truly walking our light on this planet, we have to shine. We can't dim it. And the moon doesn't have its own light. It's a reflective sort of surface. So for some of you, I feel like you're holding back a little bit. This is your chance to shine. So don't be afraid to kind of come out and reveal that part of yourself. Vulnerability usually is a very attractive sort of energy. Like, if you open up and show someone a little piece of yourself, I don't think we need to lay everything out on the table, but I think one thing at a time is smart, because it lets people get to know you a little bit better, and it usually helps them open up as well. So if we build up that wall, then you can't have a breakthrough. And that's really what this month is about. So let one piece of the wall go away and see what happens, see what comes through. All right, and then we have sacred here, sacred pool, sacred energy. So I feel like many of you are getting back to something that you really care about, that this is basically going back into a soul space. So if you've spent a lot of time in your life, maybe putting your energy in and supporting and helping and healing others, or you put a lot of time into just being afraid of going after something that you want, this is your chance to hit reset and to do something really beautiful. With all these creative cards, again, I get the word renaissance. So this could be a return to something passionate, something really important, and I think it would be great. So let's look now at what can help you with this. We're looking at the card that is associated here with love and relationships, and it's acceptance. What a powerful card this is. This is going straight to the energy of what I was talking about. You see that person actually reaching out and saying, like, I love you unconditionally, or I accept you. We see, to me, what looks like a guide here as well, which is helping. So for many of you, all you have to do is love and accept yourself. This card can be about kind of feeling like you're not going to receive that love, or denying yourself that self-love. This can be about pushing people away. So if you can really speak your truth, be yourself, and say, here's how you would kind of express it. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a parent or a boss, say whoever it is, insert their name or their title. I want to talk to you because I feel like we're friends. I know that we've always been there for one another, and I love you. And I feel like if you love someone, you should be able to talk to them about anything. So, and then say what you want to say, and say, I just wanted to say this so that we could be close and there wouldn't be any sort of walls between us. It's basically about bringing down that sort of that castle that you're building between you and that other person, and just being able to see each other eye to eye. If they're truly there for you, they will support you. If they fade away or walk away or turn away, then they have some work to do. It's not your fault. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's quitting your job, getting a divorce, coming out, saying something about an addiction or something else that's going on, whatever it is that you feel like you have to hide. I don't think that's the case. I feel like maybe someone taught you at some point to not want to show who you are. So I'm encouraging you to just integrate, be who you need to be. And I think this month, relationships will be put to the test to see if you and or the other person can accept that. This goes the other way, which is you could have a person in your life that needs to tell you something. So all you have to do to improve relationships this month is be a good listener. And I say that like it's super easy. It's hard for many of us because we want to talk a lot or we're distracted and looking at our phones. So put the phone down, give like long pauses in conversation, let people finish what they're going to say, and then also ask how they want you rather to show up. Say, you could empathize what they're going through, and then say, wow, you could even just say, thank you for telling me that took a lot of courage. So if you just say that first, I don't know why I'm feeling a lot of emotional energy around that, but I am. So I'm trying my best not to kind of get too much of that. So I feel some of you just need to acknowledge that it took a lot for you or someone else to say something. And then you could say, what can I do to help you? What do you need from me? Do you just need support? Do you need advice? Do you need resources? Because all of these cards are kind of connected here. So let them ask you what they need, or let them know that you're there. Kind of like that friend in my life that was once there. Say, if you need something, I'm here, but I don't want to kind of get in the way of you sort of figuring it out for yourself if you don't want me to. So there's a lot of room for development with relationships this month, but I feel part of it is about accepting who you are or who someone else is, and also kind of looking back at the aggregate of your experiences or your relationship and realize that you can't change the past, but you can do something about here, now, and tomorrow. So start to feel empowered about that and make some decisions about that. All right, looking at your Destiny card, which ironically it says the Book of Destiny here. This is about, for some of you, deciding to learn more. So if it is about the relationship or about that issue around acceptance, it could be deciding, like, this is just the first page of that story. Like, we need to talk. So that's great. So you could go much deeper into something like that. For some of you, you're deciding to go back to school or to learn something about yourself. Like, how did I get here? Why am I feeling this? So it's going a little bit deeper. Some of you may be writing something down. Are you journaling? This is a great time to record this. I was talking to a family member yesterday, and we were kind of intrigued about, like, even here in the United States, we're not as united as we used to be. Every single state is going through this in a different way. And I hope that, like, people are doing their best to kind of capture this, because we're all living through history. And same thing in the different parts of the world. Europe, UK, Australia, Russia, all the different countries have very different approaches to what's going on. So it's an important time to document, if nothing else, because this moment in history is amazing, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself. And also, it might help when you're talking to someone to figure out what is their take on this, where are they going, because everybody's having a different experience right now. So I think if we all kind of get out of our bodies a little bit, get a bird's eye view, and we can't make an assumption right now that people understand what we're thinking or what we're going through. And empathy is going to be your biggest tool right now to be a successful human being, and to also just be able to be there for yourself and for others this month. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at what we just talked about. I'm going to bring it together in about 2 or 3 minutes, kind of recap what we talked about, and then we're going to do some soul work. And at several points today, I just felt a lot of emotional energy. So I feel like we need to find a way to let it go. And maybe I'll use water to kind of help with the kind of like flowing of the energy to open up the floodgates a little bit and clear you out. So in the soul work, we're going to look at what needs to be healed so that you can be successful, so that you can be strong, so that you can also be happy, because that's part of this too. But to get to the happy, sometimes you have to move through the other frequencies. So we'll take a look at that in just a moment. All right, looking at the main messages that came through here, we have, first of all, feed the spark of inspiration. I think many of you need something in the morning to look forward to. So maybe don't turn on the news immediately. Spend a little bit of time. It could be reading a book. It could be learning something. It could be making some plans for next year or the year after. Really thinking to yourself, there will be a tomorrow, there will be a next year, there will be 10 years from now. Because when you start to dream those possibilities, you start to create things that can make them become a reality. So dream it, then do it. And that really was the next card, which was use a goal or a series of goals to empower yourself. And then ultimately, this is going to help you keep your thoughts in a higher frequency, in the light. And a lot of times in my meditation, that's what I'll focus on, is just going into the sun or going into a ray of light and allowing all of the cells in my body, all the thoughts in my head, to receive sort of an energetic upgrade. The center, actually, let's start with the catalyst. Protect yourself, protect those around you. Also know that you have the instincts, the intuition, and the resources to make it through. We're in a sort of period of conservation, of resting, and that rest is necessary for the next step, which, as we looked at the environment, could be quite different from where we're at now. The world card is great, and that's just around the corner. That's why it's in the environment. So rest now, you're going to need it later, is what these two cards are showing. With this, I talked about how you could basically break through the sort of energetic block of not allowing abundance in. And it could just be by giving a little to someone that you love in a symbolic way. Many of you are dealing with loss in your life, or the sort of fear of losing something. So if someone has gone, remember that healing can still happen. This is also a reminder, as we look at sort of sickness on a global scale with pandemic, it's a chance to make sure that there are no regrets in this life. Finish up karma so you don't have to deal with it in another life. But on a positive note, Six of Swords in the world is about moving on. It can be moving up and moving on. So for many of you, by the way, this is an air balloon. Well, this whole deck is a steampunk deck. So this is kind of like a Zephyr or something in the air. So this Six of Swords is about going higher, not about necessarily having to go through difficult times. So why not imagine that you can get through this, and maybe that you're going to be in a higher or better place after that. Independence is a great thing, but it can also be a stubborn thing. So if you're afraid to ask for help because you just want to do it on your own, that may not be the best way to finish it. This is also showing me that you are resourceful. And even if you are in a place where you're tapping into your savings or asking for assistance, because of who you are, that won't be a forever state. So know that you haven't lost that, even if you're in a moment in time where you can't be as sort of singularly independent as you would like. This is a great time to invest in yourself, learning something new, discovering something and integrating it, or also just deciding that you want to talk to someone about something important in your life. This is a month for self-discovery. Suffice to say, with all of these cards, with the resource cards, many of them reversed, many of them kind of in different positions, that there is a lot of energy going out and not as much coming in. I think we're all going through that right now. There's an economic slowdown, call it what you will. The important thing during this period is to stay balanced, and it's forcing us to make smarter choices. So Two of Pentacles is not an impossible card to get through. It's basically showing that you can't do too much of any one thing. You have to be smart to make it through, but you can. It's ultimately a card of balance. So find the balance. And for many of you that are employed, it's a work-life balance or a health balance. Don't put yourself at risk. We got a lot of moons that came through here, 2 to be exact. And this could indicate a lot of emotional energy. It could show a lot of creativity. It could also show a secret that needs to be revealed. So, or a part of yourself that you need to kind of get into the light. So whatever it is, know that generally speaking, I like the moon card, because if you're creative, you can capitalize on that. The world is here, and it's something that a lot of people can relate to. So if you put that into your work, then it shows success. Also, if you realize that your struggle may be universal, in some decks, the world is called the universe. So this is less sort of singular to you than you might think. Share it, open yourself up a little bit, and you're going to feel, first of all, a lot better, and people will be able to accept you a lot better than you may think. King of Cups in reverse. Emotional stability and healing is so important this month. Do whatever you need to do to get there, whether that's to talk to someone, to ask for help, to lean on someone. I really feel it as I'm reading your sign. I felt pretty even when I started, but I definitely feel the emotions coming through. So I'm going to try to help you. Empathically, I've picked up on that. There's a change of work, job, or living situation for many of you. Moving, it can be moving on, moving up, moving out. Ultimately, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a necessary thing. So if you kind of embrace as a necessary change, that's going to be a good aspect of it. A lot of these changes have to happen no matter what within the next year. Some of you have no choice. I'm looking at May. It may happen within the next month. But kind of roll with those changes because I feel like they're going to bring a new opportunity in your life. We talked a lot about healing. Allow it to happen. Stay focused. Try not to get distracted as well so you don't make a mistake or trip and fall or something like that. Ace of Pentacles in reverse. There's an opportunity on the horizon, but you have to unlock it. You have to ask for it. So this isn't one that the universe is just giving to you. It's kind of like waiting, and you have to reach out for it, and then it will come through. Spiritual engagement, spiritual development, spiritual awareness. It's all coming through for you this month. When you tap into that thought that you are capable, powerful, and open to abundance in all forms, I feel like you can start to manifest in that area. Healing, revealing, accepting. All of those aspects are part of the Moonlight card here. And then really getting back into something sacred, because this is in your wealth area. What do you really want? What do you feel like it's time to get back into? Acceptance is probably one of the key takeaways this month. Accepting where you're at, accepting who you are, accepting what's coming through from someone else. Notice the one card that didn't come through, which was judgment or justice. So it's not up to you to decide what's right. It's not up to you necessarily even to decide for someone else. All you have to do is accept who they are, their role in this sort of situation, and that's it. No judgment. Release judgment, let the powers that be judge. And then ultimately with the book card here, I feel like some of you may have a book that you're trying to write. We're talking also about journaling. For some of you, this is an encouragement to go back to school. It's also showing me that, there's a lot of pages in your book of life. So we're in one chapter, one page. Keep writing, keep thinking. The story doesn't end here, and that's the other piece that I get. So let me take a drink here, and then I will look at past, present, and future sort of influences in your life and how we can either get into that higher energy or break through and really tap into the World card here that I saw. Okay, we got two, so I will honor it. All right, so I just talked about judgment and justice. The cards are reversed here. So judgment or justice in reverse rather can be feeling like I can't, I won't, or simply saying no, or simply separating or walking away from something. So if you've been meaning to do that in your life, this is in the past, it's time to honor that and to step away fully from something. If you feel like something's wrong or hasn't been set right, as I said, with the Five of Pentacles, this is the time to do that. This is the time to set it right. With the Seven of Swords in reverse, I feel like many of you are ready to walk away from people in your life, situations in your life that just really haven't fed your heart, your spirit, your anything. And that's okay. This can be just simply cutting losses. It doesn't have to always be a card about sneaking around. It doesn't have to be a card about deception. It can be a decision that enough is enough. And I want to move on. I need to move on because I've learned everything that I need from this situation. And sometimes that's the hardest piece, right? I've been in various situations in my life where sometimes you're always used to fixing things, especially if you're a light worker. And sometimes things just end and there's nothing more to do. Like if you've learned everything that you need, you don't have to make that person be better. You don't have to fix the relationship. If it dissolves, sometimes it's just like graduation. Okay, I guess I got what I needed out of that. They got what they needed. Now I can redirect my energy into something else. So I'm giving you sort of a nod from the universe if you're in that category, that the message is it's okay to move on. There's nothing more to learn. If you feel like something was wrong and needs to be set right, this is the time to say, I'm sorry, or to forgive yourself, or to move on from that. Seven of Wands in reverse. Okay, so with the Seven of Wands, the positive aspects of this card are basically you can do anything you set your mind to. In fact, you're probably someone in day-to-day life where people will just keep piling on the requests, the work, the responsibilities, because they know you'll do it. They know it will get done. One thing I would say with Seven of Wands, when it's in reverse, there's a sort of forceful energy to it. So don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to push back. Don't be afraid to delegate. And also just having really good boundaries in your life. This is what's important now. This is going to help you figure out your own energy. Sort of asking the rhetorical, who am I? Where am I? Where am I going to? Why is this happening? A chance to just sort of take a deep breath and take stock of yourself and your life. But you have to push back a little bit. Otherwise, I feel like people will just keep giving and pushing and asking. And at this point, you might need a little bit of space. So if you need it, create it. Now let's take a look at where all of this is bringing you. Ten of Swords reversed. I'm glad it's reversed. For many of you, we got all reversals in your soul work. So there is some work to be doing here and to be done. And it is about releasing sadness, or releasing sort of this feeling of I can't fix this, or it's broken, or will I be okay? All of these sort of things. For me, the Ten of Swords can show something. Think of one thing in your life when we do the meditation in a moment that you feel like that was one thing I would change. If I could go back and hit rewind, I would change this. And then think of all the things in your life that maybe happened as a result of that, including the insight of what you shouldn't do. Because I feel like for many of us, we probably couldn't and shouldn't take that back because it changed who we were. So could you look at stuff in your life that you feel like was a failure or a loss or a regret, and turn it around into a core lesson in your life that made you stronger, made you better, made you more sensitive, more empathic? And even though it was the toughest lesson that you learned, maybe it was one of the best things that happened to you because you're a better person because of it. So I feel like it's simply accepting that moment, that part of yourself that you feel like was a failure or could have been changed, and thinking, but it made me who I am. And if you're thinking and wanting and hoping that you could do better, you're probably a good person anyway. And you can put this energy into creating a better tomorrow, creating space for a better tomorrow. So I think if I were to recap all of these things again, it's like making something right that feels like it's wrong, or walking away from something that has already kind of ended. Pushing back and creating space, saying no if you need to. Also acknowledging how strong you are, that you can do all of this stuff and that people are coming through. And then one unconditional act of forgiveness, yourself, someone in your life, and deciding, I'm really ready to walk away from this. One thing that people miss in the Ten of Swords is that the sun is rising, right? So this is after a very long night, after a very long night of the soul. And if we take away what has happened, it's sunrise. There's a new dawn. So in our meditation, I really want to focus on the dawn after that evening, or the spring after this winter. We go through things to give us context, to make us stronger, to help us see things. And I think that's really important. So everybody, get comfortably seated if you will. We're going to meditate. Before you do that, if you liked what you saw here today, please consider hitting the like button and hit subscribe, because when we meditate and I use the sound bowl, I know it's hard to focus after that. So if a couple of you can hit like, thank you. I appreciate it. Now let's go ahead and get into the meditation. Get yourself into a comfortably seated position. Imagine yourself out in a starry night. Maybe it's like, it's right before sunrise. So it's still dark, but you can start to feel the world warming up a little bit. And I want you to sit on the top of a beautiful hill. You don't have to go too high, just enough so that you can see the distance in front of you, or I should say the landscape around you. And close your eyes, both in the meditation and then also in real life. Take a moment now to imagine the cool air around you that is not so cold that you're shivering, but just cool enough that maybe you can see your breath and it wakes you up. If you've ever walked the dog or gone out to your car in the morning and there's a brisk breeze, it kind of is like taking a cold shower. It just brings you to life. So feel that in this moment, everything is a little bit more, you're more acutely aware and you're just a little bit more awake than usual. So take a nice deep breath, feel the cool air enter into your lungs, feel the cool air around you, and feel alive, feel really awake and alive in this meditation. Inhale when you're ready. On the exhale, let go of anything you don't want in your life. And just as your breath actually has form, you can see the little water droplets in front of you. If you want to imagine that you're sort of exhaling a puff of smoke from anything that you don't want in your life, maybe a low frequency, a fear, a doubt, let that go. And now focus on a beam of light coming from either the moon or the brightest star in the sky, and replace any of those sort of parts of yourself that were feeling like they needed healing or feeling like there's a little darkness. Bring in the light now and allow that to heal your body and receive a sort of upgrade on each and every cell. So inhale, bringing that starlight or that moonlight into your body. And as you exhale, I want you to create a circle around your body by tracing your fingers in the dirt or the sand around you. And see yourself now connected to that beam of light. And as you, in your meditation only, kind of open your eyes, look around you and start to see that in the distance, you can see a gentle sort of purplish or bluish light as the sun is starting to come up on the horizon. It hasn't yet revealed itself, but you can see your environment. You can see the stars starting to fade. The moon is still there. And you're in that in-between zone. So take a moment in this in-between zone and think of something in your life that you need or want to forgive yourself about. It could be an argument that you had. It could be a relationship with a parent that never quite was the way you wanted. It could be an ex in your life who you've just had a hard time not being angry about or forgiving or forgetting. And in this moment, I want you to find your own light before the sun comes up and realize that you can shine. You don't need to define yourself by this situation. And before the sun comes up, I want you to see your own body start to take on this beautiful golden light. And you're going to call in your sort of a new opportunity, a new dawn, or a new partner as the sun comes up. So see yourself glow and become bright and forgive yourself as I play the singing bowl, and then we will watch the sunrise together. Gently look over your shoulder and see what it was that you were trying to release. Whatever that person, place, or thing was, see it now transformed by your light. See a beautiful light from your heart connecting to that person. And in this moment, they see you differently. You see them differently. There's the energy of acceptance that's entered in. I want you to bow towards this lesson in your life. Again, whether it's a person, a place, a thing, or just an emotion. Whatever it was, whatever form it took, see it now transform into something higher and brighter. And imagine now that, like a star kind of going through the sky, this is going to take off and go to its own space, its own destiny. It's almost like a comet. So you see the shape of this person, place, or thing become light. You see it start to hover in the sky above you, and then it shoots off like a comet away from you. And now take one final breath as you look at the sun, connecting your heart to the sun. Take a deep breath and say, I accept who I am. I embrace tomorrow. I'm not afraid to ask for help if I need it. And I believe in the power of love and of change. Gently open your eyes. Take a deep breath. Welcome back. It's so good to see you. And I appreciate you spending some time with me today, hopefully learning a little bit more about yourself, letting go of that ghost of the past, bringing in the light of tomorrow, of the future, and celebrating the ability to create something new. Don't be afraid to reach out this month. Reach out to people in your life that you feel might need some help, and also let people see something that's important about you. And if you need help, if you want to talk about something, I think it's super important. Before we wrap up, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that was kind enough to share a super chat or super sticker. I will call you out after, again, the video's on replay, and just say a little thank you, but I'd like to also acknowledge you now. If you want to learn more about what's going on with my readings, with the schedule, how to reach out to me, how to book an appointment, all that stuff, you can go to my website. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. The link is here, and I know my moderators have been putting the link out as well, so you can follow that when you're watching this on replay. I'd love for you to also connect with me on social media. So my username on YouTube and Facebook is the same. It's Nicholas Ashbaugh. You can also find me on Patreon with the same username. And Patreon is a great way to give back in a continual sort of way, like $1 a month. If you like what you see, it makes a big difference. If you don't have the ability to give back right now, you actually can just by clicking subscribe and like. Subscribe shows me that you like it. It doesn't cost anything. Liking also helps my video get discovered. So if you want to give back, that's a very small way to do it. If you follow me on Facebook, I will put story reminders. I do the same on Instagram, and here's my username. It's at Nicholas_Ashbaugh. And that's a great way to just remember, hey, which sign is going today? And I always post the little link for all the other upcoming signs. I'm on Twitter as well. And again, I usually do it the day before and the day of, so you can see that. And sometimes I'll also post inspirational tweets. And a lot of times I get a question about PayPal. So it's paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh. All those links, again, you can just go to my website. Thank you so much for being who you are, for being here, and for supporting one another. We need to do that now more than ever. Take care of yourselves, and I will be back again tomorrow. So you can check out my website for links and times. Until then, I'll talk to you soon. Again, much love. And thanks again for your help, Maria and Ryan. I appreciate you. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.